Hey guys, what's up? It is prime time here for another Protoss replay for another build order, and today we're going to be looking at a game on Daybreak. And once again, this game I did play just a few minutes ago, or like half an hour ago to be exact. So it's going to be a PvZ. If you're looking at the minimap, you could tell. If not, shame on you. And in the top right of the red zerg, we have Captain Kinky. In the bottom left is myself as the blue Protoss. And a little bit of lag. Sorry about that. What is going on with the lag? So yeah, let's go ahead and just dive into this replay. By the way, before we do dive into the game, this is essentially the same build that I've been doing in this matchup, and I've posted games of this build on the channel. The reason I'm posting this particular video is because I want to keep you guys up to date with exactly how I do stuff and exactly the timings and build orders that I like to use. And that's just to give you guys the best chance you have at winning games. It's that simple. So today we're going to look at a very greedy, a very economic-based play, as well as aggression-based play, if you can believe it. It's both. In that order, by the way. On Daybreak. So this is a build order that you can use versus Zerg on basically any map, even despite wide chokes and stuff like that. And so first things first, you saw my pylon right in the middle, right where my wall is going to be. That was intentional, and you'll see how this wall develops. In case you haven't seen the last videos, I'll sort of be treating you like everybody's new. We'll see exactly. We'll see exactly how this build, my casting develops. Anyway, so you can see I'm on 15 supply, no forge is going down. That is because I'm going to be taking a Nexus first versus Zerg, and I will be taking the Nexus on 15 supply. I did see the spawning pool with my probe, and that is a standard timing. If you were to come in here with your worker after you build your first pylon, and you see he's going for a 6 or 7 pool, you will have enough time, if you choose, to defend your wall. Or you can just build a forge and then a pylon here and then a cannon here and do it that way. So there's that. I just want to let you know that this is safe, even though it would be a little bit delayed, a little bit of a delayed forge than normal. It's really not that delayed, so you will be safe even though you're going for a Nexus first. And of course, if you see a early pool, you won't actually get your Nexus, if that makes sense to you. So let's go ahead. Now I'm going to set my probe down here to deny his hatchery as long as possible. It is important that you don't use a pylon or any other building to deny. Just use your probe and probe movement. Also, try not to lose this, because that is not good if you do. You can do harassment on the worker line. In the meantime, you can like force the closer mineral patches, so like he has to mine away or whatever. Anyway, you harass mineral line, you will have time to do it for a little bit. You can see about 2:45 is when he's going to try to take the hatchery. That's pretty standard, so I'm just delaying it for as long as possible. But that's not the important part. The important part is that after the Nexus, keep in mind this is still on 15 supply. I go Gateway, then Forge, and then we're going to see Probe and Chrono Boost, and then another Probe. There it goes. So 2 probes and 1 Chrono Boost. I'm going to take the tower, and the next building I'll be making is a pylon. And then I will be making, typically, I will make a cannon and then a zealot, and I'll Chrono Boost the zealot out, which you actually don't really need to do, but I'll go over that more in a little bit. But I have my probe on the closer watchtower, and I don't see any zerglings, so instead of making a cannon right now, I'm actually going to make a zealot, and I'm going to get an earlier gas. And I actually don't really know when this gas went down. It went down 17, about the 3:45 minute mark. Obviously it doesn't have to be exact, but then the cannon will go down, and actually my zealot didn't start. Probably should have made a zealot before the cannon, but either way, it's all good. Around the 4-minute mark, or later, you should be scouting for 3rd base. And if you did see Lings coming, by the way, if like with this probe, and it was like 20 seconds ago, he's trying to take advantage of the fact that you go Gateway first. If you see Lings coming, it's actually really hard to get the cannon up in time, unless his rush is a little bit delayed for whatever reason. Like, it'll be constructing when the Lings are on the way and when they get to your base, but it won't be done. It'll be, like, nearly done. But anyway, my point is, if Lings are going to try to go through your wall, you have basically two choices. You can either transfer probes, like 6 or so probes from your main base to your natural, and if the lings don't even try to go in, you can just have them mine, and it'll be in time for this nexus to be finished. If the lings do try to go in, you can just stuff the hole, and you'll buy enough time for your cannon to finish. But it's a very small window for your opponent to actually abuse and get into your base, but if he does get any amount of lings in your base, it's really annoying. So try not to let that happen. And the other thing you can do is just put the pylon here and just cancel it when your cannon or zealot is finished. So 1 second. My throat gets tired very quickly. Anyway, so now we see this follow-up where I got the gas before a cyber. What I'm building up to right now is to do the 6 zealot +1 attack, which hits his base at about 8 minutes. And that is what I'll be doing this game, as I just said. And we'll see how that works out. I don't want to really talk anymore about that in the meantime, but that didn't make any sense. Anyway, so instead of working your way towards getting these zealots, you could take a cyber. And what I would recommend doing is not building that second pylon. Because what you can do is, instead of this pylon, you can build a cybernetics core when your gateway finishes. You can get one more probe with the supply that you have. And then you just want to get your next 2 gas as fast as you can. Because typically in this matchup, you get 2 gas at the 4-minute mark. So you could put a cyber here and then get a cannon when your forge finishes and just play it out standard. And you just get your stuff up, you just get your nexus up faster, so compared to a normal build. However, we're going to see the way I played out, most of the time that is. And there goes the cannon, blah 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 blah. Probe be scouting for his 3rd. And if you guys have seen, I don't think really anything has changed from the way I've been doing this zealot rush, but my opening has definitely changed a lot, as you guys have seen. Now that I see this 3rd hatchery, I basically know that I don't need any more cannons. I don't really need to worry about like a Nidus Worm coming up in my base or any of that shenanigans. So if you do decide to do this zealot rush, which I would recommend you guys try it out at least, because I do like it. It throws zergs off their builds, and they can definitely be cost effective if they go for speedlings. You can definitely snipe hatcheries every now and then. You can get a worker lead and all that good stuff. Just try to hide your zealots if you want to really have this work. So anyway, if you are going to go for this, chrono the gateway a lot, as you guys see. I've basically shown this build in other videos, so I'll just go through the build's order as quickly as I can. Essentially, you just want to get your next 3 assimilators as quickly as you can. At around the 36 food is where you want to start throwing those down. You don't need to get them all at once, but after you do construct all of those, you do want a cyber. And we can see I'm moving out before +1 is done, and I even have +1 armor queued up. Clearing the watchtowers with some zealots. I would recommend doing this just to hide this attack as long as possible. And if you were to move out with +1 already done, you would be able to see you have +1 attack easier. So anyway, that's pretty logical. And I'm just making probes whenever I can afford them. I use a ton of chrono boosts on the next eye after I'm done constructing zealots, or I guess it's technically called warping in zealots. And then after the cyber is done, you want to get 2 sentries, Stargate, Robo. Eventually you get a Twilight Council, so you in time to get +2 upgrade. Twilight Council does build quickly. It actually builds like the quickest out of like any building, I think. Actually, Templar Archives build same time, 50 seconds. Anyway, enough about that. Zealot's now moving in, and let's go ahead and bring up the units lost tab. You can see it's basically completely 0, 0, 0. He does have roaches out in time, so that is a good reaction. Some players, because they see double gas at your expansion with their overlord, and because they only see 1 gateway, will just stick on speedlings, and obviously that's a mistake. However, just a handful of roaches is obviously not enough to kill this. And right now, I'm not sure if this is the right game I want to show you guys. We'll see. We'll see exactly. Okay, yeah. No, this was not really recent. Okay, this was a different game. All right, now I gotcha. Anyway, just focus down weakened stuff, kill drones if you can, all that good stuff. Still chronoing on the Forge. I would recommend chronoing this like crazy because I like upgrades. Chronoing out a Phoenix. Obviously, you guys can do your scouting. You don't even need to get the Stargate. But this is just how I like to play this matchup. It's really weird, but this is what I like to do. This Phoenix is primarily going to be used for scouting, and then I can also kill stuff with it if I feel like killing stuff with it afterwards. +2 attack will be started any second, as the Twilight Council is almost done. And a total of 4 gateways will be finished. And if you do this build and you find yourself with too much money, it might be because you have your 4 gateways done, but your warp gate research isn't finished. So just use like 1 or 2 chronos on that if you find yourself with excess minerals. Immortals being made out of the Robo first. We see my Phoenix went through his base. I saw his lair was on the way, so I'm going to try to kill an Overlord and then go back in there later. And by the way, in terms of your opponent scouting you, let's say your attack did quite a bit of damage to those Zealots, which, by the way, I left the unit's last tab up this whole time, but we can see, didn't really do too much. Workers killed, though I did kill 5, so not too bad. But if your attack does a lot of damage, especially if you kill a hatchery, your opponent might try to counterattack all in you. And if they do that, and they have an Overlord scouting your base, don't move your sentries to kill it, as this will be your only anti-air for quite some time. Just leave them at your wall. It doesn't really matter if he sees what you're doing, because they'll have no idea what they're seeing. Because normally if they see a Stargate, they think, okay, gonna get some spores and queens. If they see a Robo, they think either they're gonna be 2 base all in, or you're taking a 3rd base. If they see a Twilight and all of that, their head's gonna explode. So don't worry about him scouting you too much, but kill the Overlord if you can, obviously. And now Warp Gate is done. I'm warping in these Warp Gates. And more Immortals are being produced. Obviously, if you see a Spire with your Phoenix, stop making Immortals, as they don't tend to be too good. And the Void Ray did pop out. Hopefully I do something with that. It's very important not necessarily to stay active with your Void Ray, but just to queue up a ton of attack paths. We can see they're just going all over the place. And that's what you should do, because then you don't have to worry about it anymore. But it will be killing stuff that... It'll be killing Overlords, it'll be clearing out your 3rd base and all that good stuff, so... Good. We do see Blink is on the way. My Phoenix is still alive, but I don't think I've actually seen anything yet. Infestation Pit is right here, so hopefully I do eventually kill that, or not kill it, but see it. And if you've seen the other PvZ builds, then you'll sort of know how this pans out. By the way, I had to kill my pylon to get on my base, so it's not like he attacked me right then. Also, if you guys want to copy the wall-in I do on this map, I basically do this sort of wall-in on every map, essentially. And all I try to do is just get a smaller choke. Like right here is the attack path that they'll make, because I block off this section, so... Anyway, tunneling's running around the map with some roaches, and I do see it because of my Void Ray, obviously. So I'm just going to get ready to defend this. And observers are on the way, and that's to spot for any attack paths that he could be coming in from. It looks like the Zerglings are going to try to force a cancel. Will they do it? The suspense is building, and force fields around the Nexus are a good way to keep it alive, but if you don't want to waste the energy, especially since I have 2 sentries, I almost wouldn't recommend doing that. You should try to cancel it, as I didn't do. But the reason I want to show you this game isn't because I'm not good at securing a 3rd base, which we have all learned together, but it's because I just want to show you how this build order basically makes it easy to kill Zerg. So I almost never lose to Zerg if I can not get all in. So if they don't do some sort of 2 base all in on me, I will essentially win 9 out of 10 times. Void Ray still chilling, still floating around as it always does. And this is the wall I tend to do on this map, by the way, in case you weren't watching the screen. Colossus are on the way. If you don't see any tech, like you don't see an infestation pit or spire, getting a Robo Bay earlier is a smart decision. If he does go spire, it'll be a little tricky because the Colossus will only be good against Zerglings, but you can always just throw up some cannons, and you do have Blink Stalkers, as I do get the Blink upgrade when I can afford it after my Twilight's done. Not too early though. If you were paying attention to the production tab, you saw exactly when I started it. So rewind and check that out if you are interested. Anyway, looks like Captain Kinky is taking a 4th base, and he might be moving out. I don't know. Once there's Colossus on the field, this amount of Zerglings just become sort of worthless on, you know, attacking straight up in, into a Protoss army. It looks like he's actually going to be going for 5th base, and my Void Ray will kill that, most likely. This is another thing Void Rays are good at. If you keep them alive, they're good at just denying bases where, if the Zerg doesn't have enough AA, then obviously you can kill them down. You can kill them because Queens can't easily get to expansions like that. Zerglings and his whole entire army, I think, I don't know, are going to go attack the 3rd base again. And is that a changeling? No. Before this attack begins, we do see fleet beacons coming up. If you want to be aggressive, actually, let me word that differently. If you go for an early fleet beacon and obviously a mothership that follows that build order, that prerequisite of a building, you really can't attack until you have a mothership with enough energy for a vortex. And that's just because if you wanted to attack before then, and let's just disregard the mothership, because if the mothership doesn't have a vortex, it's sort of worthless. Obviously cloaking is nice, but by that time they should have an overseer on the map. So my point is, it's just the 300, 200 for the fleet beacon, and then 400, 400 for the mothership is quite a bit of resources to take away from your army if you were going to attack before then. However, one thing that the mothership does on basically every map, but particularly maps like Ohana or Shakuris or I guess Entombed, kinda. But anyway, like if you look at this map, the only way to blink into his base is from here. Most maps will have some sort of like way over here or here, like Ohana, if you can imagine like how you can blink in and out on that sort of map, or Antigua. So what I like to do with an early mothership is blink stalkers into his base and then recall them out after I kill whatever I can. In the meantime of doing that, I'll be sending zealots to his 5th or 4th base and just harassing everywhere I can at the same time. Anyway, we'll see that all unfold, but that's just why I like to get early mothership, is for recall. And observers spot in his army. I see exactly what he's doing, and therefore we'll see exactly how I defend. And I don't even know if I saw the roaches, so it looks like my minimap awareness is bad as usual. So let's finally back the Colossus up. Part of my army gets fungled up here, but that's actually not too bad because my upgrades are good, and Colossus are good as well. Roaches being met by a couple of mortals. I brought them back from this army over here, and he does quite a bit of damage over here. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty good attack, pretty well executed as well. But the good upgrade count that I have at 3-1, and my next upgrade should be finishing soon. Shield is on the way. And the Colossus are enough to hold off his attack. He's going to go ahead and try to loop around this way, but if I'm looking at my screen, I can see his army doing so. And even though I don't know he's coming, because my minimap awareness is bad, good Colossus timing, and just a nice little sandwich. It always helps as well. So units lost after all of that. Even though I'm going for an early mothership, even though I went these crazy tech paths all at once, I'm able to defend that easily. At least in terms of units lost, easily. Workers tab right now, I just want to check this out. It's almost tied up. Just keep in mind though that I tend to I'm usually not really able to saturate my 3rd base quite as early as most players, or as early as I would like to, and that's basically because of all these different tech paths that I'm going towards at the same time. So my point is, for a while you will be quite a bit lower in the worker count from your opponent. But he is only on 4 bases, and he's just now saturating his 4th base. That's got to be a mistake, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. Void Ray's chilling with the army now. Phoenix still alive as well. The Phoenix, you'll see, is going to be parked right here for a lot of the game, and actually the only reason this Phoenix dies is because I suicide it into his army so I can free up some supply. But using the Phoenix, it's really easy to keep this alive, as long as you're microing it every now and then. But you can see I'm just using each spot. I have observer scouting for both of the attack paths that he can make. Setting the Void Ray and just parking it right here is also a decent idea as long as he doesn't have Corruptors out, but at this stage in the game you can guarantee he will, unless it's a crazy game. The lag ship is moving to the rallied spot at my third base. And right now, obviously you can see I'm getting at my own fourth base, but once you feel pretty safe, even if you're not maxed out, but once you have like that money composition of Mothership, Colossus, Stalkers, and even some Archons, it doesn't matter if you're maxed out or not, you can go ahead and take your next expansion. But there's really no rush, because on most maps, at least in the map pool that we have right now, on most maps, the way this build will pan out and the way I like to play against Zerg, I just sort of make it a war of attrition, where I essentially just try to starve my opponent out by the end of the game. And it doesn't really matter if I don't micro too great, or if I don't spend my money too well, or if I expand late, but at the end of the day, we're both going to mine the same amount of money, so I'm just going to be more cost effective, and usually Protoss is more cost effective than Zerg. So anyway, my opponent is nearing max out, but looks like he's just made some workers at the same time as he is working on getting maxed out and then attacking, most likely. The next thing you want to do at this stage of the game is obviously get Archons, but also something that I've been doing recently is not only getting Warp Prisms because they're good, and getting Charge. Charge is good to have for harassment. But is saving like 2 High Templar, let them accumulate energy, and then put them in a Warp Prism. So if my opponent attacks me or I attack him, I can fly that over his Infestors. Usually they either won't have enough Corruptors, or you can just move around the Corruptors. Just drop out the High Templar and just go feedback crazy on his Infestors. You can see how much more energy than health Infestors do have, so it's a pretty good strategy. Keep in mind my supply right now is 190 out of 200, so even though I want to do some Warp Prism Harass, it's not going to be the easiest thing to do with only, you know, that much supply of units. Some Zealots charging over here to meet up with some stuff I warp in, if that's what I do, I can't remember. And then my Phoenix is now giving me vision of the high ground, so I can blink up here. This is only like 14 Stalkers, or actually 13 Stalkers. So, although I'm doing this nice double-pronged harass, this should be something he can defend quite easily, and we can see what we can go for right now is obviously the Greater Spire. Really unfortunate micro. He's trying to transfuse this, but it's just not going to be enough. And then, like I was talking about earlier, a nice little recall. I think I lost about 3 or 4 Stalkers there, so definitely worth it. And I usually tend to go for attacks like this when I have almost max energy, because that way if he decides to do some sort of counterattack, I'll still have enough energy for a Vortex. So that is the thinking behind that. And some Zealots going to town these Zerglings. Orders upgrades, 2-2, so still a pretty good upgrade lead. DT Shrine's coming, but that's not a big deal. Most Protoss players go for that. Usually I don't, but I've started to mix into my play just to mix in Charge Loss and DTs and this sort of harass, but usually it doesn't matter because they have Spore Crawlers anyway, so we will see what the next course of harassment is, or what I choose to do next. And we can see this next base is coming up. When you expand to this position, I would recommend 2 things. A, have vision of this little choke point, choke point to see if speedlings are coming around, and B, throw cannons up like crazy, like 6, 7, or 8 of them at this base. But it looks like we won't be able to see that exactly happen, as I will be attacking his 5th base. Now, when you go for a Mothership so early, and you're playing out this war of attrition, you don't really have to attack. All you want to do is don't let your opponent take another base, and do harassment when you can, and then if your opponent gets way out of position, you can then send your whole army into snipe a base if you can, if possible. But in this particular instance, because my opponent isn't going to have a Greater Spire for quite some time, and he does have one more Spire on the way, wherever that is, I actually don't know. But because I sniped the Greater Spire, I figure if I can trade armies with him, even somewhat evenly, I can then replace my army with the gateways that I have, which I have 14 gateways at the moment, and 4 more coming. But essentially, the idea is to kill his army, and then since he won't be able to remake Broodlords, I can then remake an army and then kill him and win the game. So we will see this particular attack unfold. We can see these Infestors coming up a little close, so I'm going to go for this High Templar feedback. And just feedback as many as you can. Looks like I got, holy crap, like 6 of them right there. That is well worth a Warp Prism and 2 High Templar. and that's if you lose all of those. So there's the beginning of that sort of attack. And I do have, I don't have enough energy for 2 vortexes, but I get all of the infestors. All the infestors are either dead or in this vortex, so right now you can either just kill the base and run, or you can send your stalkers ahead and try to kill broodlords, but doing the latter of the two is obviously more risky. And it looks like I'm actually just going to kill the base and keep attacking, so we'll see what happens here. He has tons of spine crawlers, which, this is a lot, I'm not going to lie. So, because he's had to make 3 spines, because I've been pretty cost effective so far in this game, you can see the money, the bank, is so heavily in my favor, where I could just move this army and have it all die, like move it into spine crawlers and stuff and have it all die, and it'll still be the game will still be in my favor. So, this is what I mean by playing out the war of attrition and just being cost effective when you can. I think this is where I suicide my Phoenix. I can't remember, to be honest. Or actually, no, I pull it back, I think, and then I suicide it, but that doesn't really matter. Not really all that relevant. So I see these organs coming. I could have seen it with this observer as well, obviously, but he's doing this because he knows my whole army's out of position. And it looks like he's going to go try to snipe a base, if possible. And I know he does a lot of damage with this, but at this point of the game, it's kind of too far gone for him to really win. But he is doing a nice job of hold positioning his lings. And this angers me, so I go kill him. So it actually backfired. Anyway, I now have enough energy for a vortex. Should be using that whenever. But yeah, this game is basically very standard from this point on. Very typical. And there's really not much else to it. I just hope you guys learned something from this game. We do see my mothership goes down before a vortex can be used, but it doesn't matter. I just have so much more money than him, and a lot of production on 18 warp dates. So that's basically this game. Hope you guys enjoy this video. And again, this is basically the same build order that I've been doing, but I just want to sort of keep you guys updated with how I play this matchup. And I'm not lying, I played a game recently, well not too recently, but it was in a tournament against a pretty evenly matched Zerg opponent, where I basically made mistake after mistake, and I still ended up winning the game. So if you just sort of follow these sort of this sort of build order, and I know it's not too exact after that opening, but something else to keep in mind is a lot of Protoss players do attack before the mothership comes, so they'll get nearly maxed out with Colossus, Stalkers, whatever. It's around the time where they're taking their 4th base, and they'll attack. And personally, I really don't think that's a smart way to play. I think waiting for your mothership, waiting for your super awesome death ball is a better way to play this out. And we just saw how that worked out this game. So yeah, warp prisms are also good. Keep that in mind. Anyway, we're just waiting for this game to end. There's still 2 minutes left, so we'll just see exactly what happens. Also, sniping his Greater Spire did help in slowing down his upgrades, as he only had 1 armor. I think that was also more of a mistake as well. But yeah, looks like some pretty good micro from Captain Kinky, but obviously it's just not enough. And actually, it doesn't look like I can kill his army. Okay, I think I ran reinforcements. No, I just blinked to the low ground. Anyway, you guys know what happened in this game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, this is how I played PvZ. My best matchup. Although I've been winning in PvP a whole lot because of my nice all-ins that I do. But yeah. Captain Kinky knows it's true. And by the way, these upgrades are all on 1 forge, so what I do is I chrono boost this thing throughout the entire game. And don't be afraid to get +3 shields, because if you have a ton of bank, then it's definitely worth doing so. And we're just waiting for Captain Kinky to leave. But yeah, anyway, alright, I'm just gonna end this here because this is dumb. So this is like the last 2 minutes of like, so that's this game. Doing my whole little outro. I know there's something I could be saying right now, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck on ladder. See ya.